joins us now on a Thursday like it's Friday because we're off tomorrow. Packers, Panthers, Sunday down in Carolina. Wayne, good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I have dubbed this a chips in the middle game for Matt LaFleur. He has backed his defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, and it's up to Joe Barry to have a game plan that does not let a struggling rookie quarterback have a day against him. A lot of chips out there. I think they're up to it. I think they're going to bounce back, but it's a bit of a high stakes game in that regard. As you've prepared for Carolina and looked at what they have, and what I looked at, I didn't see much. Is there anything that you say, you know what, this guy could hurt us?
Offensively, they're struggling. There's no doubt. And they're struggling in the offensive line. The quarterback is missing receivers by college distances. You know what I mean? That throw down the sidelines outside the numbers, that's not even close. It's typical of what you see on the college level. But if he's allowed to get into a rhythm, and that doesn't happen often, if he's allowed to be in the pocket a little bit, get into a rhythm, and when he moves to find an opening, he's small, he's short, he's a small guy. When he has to move to find an opening to throw the ball, sometimes that's where his accuracy, dissipates a little bit. They can run the football, but I think defensively they're kind of a conundrum to me. I mean, they're very good in terms of play-to-play and yardage. They're third in yards allowed. They're very good against the pass. They haven't given up a 200-yard passing day in a long time. They give a hemorrhage points because they can't rush the quarterback despite Brian Burns. And, they only have 20 sacks. And then once you get into the red zone, they help you into the end zone. Teams score 71% touchdowns in their trips into the red zone. Now, the difference is they don't get to the red zone very often, but when you do, they'll help you in.
They'll escort you into the end zone. Oh, yeah. I see you're saying to touchdown. Why, let us help you touchdown. Is there anything else we can do for you? Yes, this should be a nice, warm bubble bath for this Packer team, yet they're only 5-point favorites, which makes me a bit nervous. Wayne is brought to you today by Kowal Investments, the retirement specialists. So when it comes to the Packers on offense, you've got Jordan Love on pace for a 3,000-yard season, yet he will likely not have a 1,000-yard rusher nor any 1,000-yard receiver. It's one of the hardest tricks in the book if he pulls it off.
I think it's remarkable what they're doing on offense. And you look at the inexperience. We knew that going in. But you're right. In terms of, when you see a quarterback coming up on a 3,000-yard season, you're thinking a 1,000-yard receiver out there and a running back who's probably getting $1,000 as well on the ground. You're exactly right. But I think the kids played really well. I think that speaks well of Jordan Love. Oh, has he had his ups and downs? Absolutely. But he's performed pretty well without a lot around him in terms of experience. And then the running game, well, that's been injury riddled all season. From the time Aaron Jones scored in that 51-yard pass play in Chicago, the running game has been very tough to get yards out of the running game because of the injuries they've had, especially to Jones and now A.J. Dillon.
Well, when you look at this defense and the criticism that came of Joe Barry after the game, and then now having some time to dive into it, is the criticism fair?
Well, first off, Joe Barry is one of my guys, one of my friends, and I feel so bad for him that things have happened the way they have the last 2 weeks with that defense. And so, to me, I'm just hoping they play really well down the stretch in these last 3 games. And at the end of the year, Matt LaFleur says, hey, we turned a corner. We're going to continue. But I understand that's not a popular opinion, but it's my opinion. I really like Joe Barry. I like what they do. People criticize him for playing zone. Well, Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers, who might be considered for their head coach at the end of this year and is doing a great job with that defense. They play the third most zone defense in the NFL. So, everybody says, well, he plays too much zone defense. Everybody plays zone defense, and a lot of it. I think when you get to where the Packers are, players on the field have to know their role and assignment, and the communication problems they've had the last couple of weeks are difficult. I know you blame it on coaching, and coaching accepts responsibility, but it does come down to the players between the white lines. X's and O's and all this other stuff aside, the guys between the white lines, they really decide the game by the way they play.
No, and that's the interesting part about it, right? Like players wise, and it's the conversation that a lot of people have had with it. Do you think Jair plays this week?
$1 million question.
Right, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I know.
Schneidman said he would bet yes because he's from the Charlotte area.
Is that all it takes?
Right. I know. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
But I think that would help Joe Barry having Jair Alexander on the field too, and I think that's kind of where it's at. Does that give it a little pop? Does getting guys healthy and back playing? I mean, that has been one thing that has not been nearly talked about enough is the absence of Jair, because now you're trying to cover up one side of the field when before, if Jair's out there, you don't have to worry about that side nearly enough.
If it's the Jair Alexander of 2022, yes.
Correct.
Jair Alexander 2022. All right. And if you wonder what I'm talking about, go back and look at the metrics. Go back and look at Pro Football Focus, Next Gen Stats on Jair Alexander this year. If you have Jair Alexander playing at a level he played at last year, yes, that would be a tremendous help for this football team. And you hope they have him down the stretch. He's a great player. He really is. But he struggled this year with his injuries and hasn't been able to perform when he's been on the field the way we know he can perform. And look at where they were a year ago at this time. You had Jair Alexander playing at a Pro Bowl, all-pro level, and you had Rasul Douglas on the other side, who is just a dynamite, and in my opinion, just a dynamite tough cornerback. That was a big difference a year ago when they came down the stretch and won all those games.
Yeah. A year ago, as they're trying to make their run, December game at Soldier Field, it was Jair who single-handedly flipped the mojo of that game and helped the Packers win.
Yeah.
So, they would desperately need him out on the field. It would be fantastic to see him out there.
Yep, it would be.
All right, before we're done here, does this team at all talk the P word, playoffs? Have you heard anyone utter that? Coaches, players, anyone, or are they just like week to week?
This group tries to stay in the week-to-week mode. I think that's a product of Matt LaFleur and the way he teaches. But no, I think they know it's at stake. They know that if they can win these games, they could make the playoffs. And that would be a tremendous accomplishment for a team in their position going into this season. So I think we'd all be happy with that. But again, guys, let's go back to what this season was all about, finding out about the quarterback. I think what we're finding out is that Jordan Love is pretty good.
Yeah, I love Jordan Love. I have thrown away the receipt, burned the receipt, said he's a keeper. Let's sign him, lock him up before it gets too expensive. I am fully on board with him as QB1. Okay, will there be a full Santa on television during the broadcast on Sunday? That's all I need to know from you. Longtime broadcast vet. It's too tempting. It's Christmas Eve, for God's sakes. Some knucklehead's going to show up down there in Carolina in a full Santa suit. They got to put that on TV, right?
Of course. And it's just typical. It's TV 101 on Christmas Eve. You have to put Santa in there. And the other thing you have to do, if you have a real good technical group, you put the fake snowflakes in there a little bit too, even though we're going to be down in Carolina. But yeah, I mean, you have to have
the weather report right now. Have you looked ahead to the weather report for Sunday?
No, I haven't. Tell me.
Mild, 63, mostly sunny.
That's great. We're not going to get the monsoon. Typical East Coast terrible weather at this time of year. Yeah, like they had last week. And the week before in Tampa when they played down there, or 2 weeks before. Carolina's, they major in monsoon games. And they played in a ton of them this year.
They really do.
Yeah. But anyway, the other thing you're going to see this weekend and the Chiefs game, whatever telecast that is, you'll see Taylor Swift, and she will be probably in a Santa Claus thing. You know what I mean? The cap and the whole bit.
Ooh.
Yeah. So those are the things you have to look forward to, NFL fans.
Right,
Santa Claus in 63 degrees weather, and Taylor Swift in a, Santa Claus outfit.
Right.
Those are the things I look forward to, guys.
Those are a few of Wayne's favorite things.
Really?
You guys, costumes.
Do I say Happy New Year to you? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you guys.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. we're taking our days off as we're allowed. Have a great call. We'll be listening on the radio. Thank you, my friend.
All right, guys. All the best. Happy New Year.
Thanks.
There you go. Wayne Larrivee, voice